Hi, I'm Jen Cassidy, Senior Vice President of Student Housing Operations, and I'm so happy to introduce Haleigh Tepper's Red Talk. Haleigh is going to share with you her tips on delegation and effective communication. I'm so proud of Haleigh for all the work she's done to prepare this Red Talks and share with you her vast knowledge from all of her experience on the travel team visiting many of our communities. If you're interested in amping up your leadership, stay tuned and listen to Haleigh.
Have you ever thought to yourself, wow, I wish there were more of me? I can remember one of the first distinct times I had this same question. I was sitting at my desk as a leasing and marketing team lead, and the community that I was working at had just changed the rate for a specific floor plan for the third time that week. It was a Friday. I had plans after work and a to-do list that only seemed to be getting longer. If you never had to change the rate on a floor plan before, just know that this task is tedious, time-consuming, and one of the things that I looked forward to the least. I remember thinking to myself how nice it would be to have another me to just sit and complete this task so that then I could begin working on the other items on my to-do list. Then it hit me. I grabbed the nearest community intern and told them to camp out at my desk while we complete this task together. I showed them how to regenerate leads as they were still fairly new, and over the next hour, we worked together to update the pricing for over 100 leads. I ended up cutting the time it took for me to complete this task in half, and the next time we changed the rate on a floor plan, I did the exact same thing, but with 2 community interns. Eventually, I created this new system and process where within an hour of the rate changing, all of the pricing had been updated. This is the power of duplication and delegation. It's safe to say that at some point in time, everyone has had that same thought of wishing there were more of them. Now, before you start thinking that I'm insane or trying to sell you on some crazy atom-splitting duplication device, I want you to think about something that you know now that you previously did not know. This can be something you recently learned or a tangible skill or task that at one point in time you did not know how to complete. Think about learning to tie your shoes. At some point in time, someone else had to teach us how to tie our shoes. We weren't just born knowing to make bunny ears and that once the bunny comes out of the hole, it would be beautiful and bold. This is duplication at its core, providing someone else the knowledge that they need in order to complete something that they previously did not know before. In the workplace, this can be easier said than done. Giving up control over the execution of a task can be difficult for some team members, especially if they've created a habit of completing that specific task. You might have even obtained success by saying yes to helping out your colleagues. However, assigning tasks to yourself only reduces the learning opportunities for your other team members. Disciplining yourself to say no and learning to focus on what is important are essential parts of becoming a more effective leader. But more importantly, it builds trust with your team. Think back to whenever you learned to tie your shoes and compare this to your career. None of us started in a leadership position with any prior experience or knowledge of communication, time management, or even how to lead a team. And if you did, please connect with me afterwards so I can take a page from your book. These skills were all things that we learned, whether we experienced them for ourselves or they were taught to us by someone else. Then, when provided the opportunity to showcase these skills, we used the knowledge we learned from our top leaders and our own unique experiences to prove our capabilities. You knew that whenever you accepted your role as a team leader, you were going to be responsible for managing a team. What you might not have realized at that time, or maybe you did, is that at Cardinal, we do not just manage teams, we coach them. Bosses ensure that their team members are doing the necessary items to fulfill their job responsibilities. And if they do anything extra, that's just a plus. However, coaches ensure that their team members are fulfilling their current job responsibilities and then teaching them new skills or processes to build a solid foundation for their next role. How else is a team member going to learn new tasks in their next role if the opportunity to pursue growth and knowledge is never presented to them? Teaching someone a new skill, process, or how to complete a new task is just the first step. After duplication comes delegation. As a leader, we can teach our team members new things every single day, but without delegating these responsibilities to them, they're never going to receive that in-the-moment experience. I can remember one of the first times this became very apparent to me. I was working as a community intern, and it was move-out day. I had been tasked with the job of collecting residents' keys as they were moving out. Easy enough. They hand me their keys, I mark it complete, they sign off, and then off they go. If they completed this before noon. The thing was that after 12:30 p.m., My CM had instructed me to let every resident know that they would be charged a $150 holdover fee for turning in their keys late. We sent emails, it's in their lease, it shouldn't have been too big of an issue. That was until one particular resident turned in their keys 15 minutes late, and we'll just say they were not happy about being charged the holdover fee. This resident's parent called the community later, and of course, I'm the one to answer the phone. Long story short, I end up in the bathroom crying my eyes out after being belittled, yelled at, and called every single name in the book. I even learned some new ones. However, this was a moment that I look back on, and I'm proud of myself for answering that phone. My team lead at the time knew that I was capable of handling this parent. Why? Because I'd received the coaching I needed and I was provided an opportunity to utilize it. It's that simple. Even though I was upset with my team lead for not talking to the parent for me, had I never received that exposure or the opportunity to test my knowledge, I would not be the leader that I am today. Duplication and delegation are important, but there's one thing that connects these two processes together: effective communication. Without effective communication, these processes cannot even begin to take place. If you lack effective communication, you are likely not able to fully replicate the skill, or it just won't be as effective. The quality of the duplication will not meet the same standards, which at that point is essentially useless, right? Now I bet you are wondering how to communicate effectively. And this is where things get tricky. You see, what I cannot teach you is how to effectively communicate with each individual you interact with at work, because I do not know your team members, their personalities, or their working styles. Now, what I can do is give you some tips on how to ensure that you are communicating effectively. Effective communication starts with first understanding the individual you're communicating with, and then your own personal communication style. You can start by having your entire team, including yourself, take the DISC assessment or Strength Finders test. Both of these are going to give you more information on how you and your entire team best receive information, think through processes, and communicate with other people. If you want to better understand your team and how they best operate, you first have to understand this about yourself. If you are a hands-on learner, then watching a recorded video is not going to be the most beneficial for you. The same goes for your team. Find out what your team's career goals are, what excites them, or what their favorite part about their role is. Then work together to create a growth plan for what their next role looks like. The communication does not stop there though. As you continue to work with your team, it is crucial that you are relaying information in a way that is comprehensive to the team member that you are speaking with. Don't put in all of this work to coach and develop your team only for them to not receive it because they could not understand the message or the content that you are relaying. This might look like you having to alter your teaching style, and that's okay. At the end of the day, if you are working to grow your individual team members, you are also working to make your entire team the best it can be. I challenge you to even ask your team for feedback on your performance in your current role. They may be able to identify areas of improvement you were unaware of or give insight if you don't know how. A coach seeks feedback and shows their team how to work smarter, whereas a boss assumes that they are already performing their job at the best of their capabilities. A great songwriter named Hannah Montana once said, "Nobody's perfect. You live and you learn it." Sometimes we have to fail or do things the wrong way in order to learn what the correct way is. That is exactly what growth is. Growth is not a straight line or even a line that goes in the same direction all the time. Remember, growth only happens outside of your comfort zone. Duplication, delegation, and effective communication are key to ensuring that the knowledge and skills of our current top leaders are passed on to our future leaders. Building on this foundation of knowledge is only going to make your leadership, team, and company better. So I encourage you today as a coach to learn how you and your team best communicate. Then decide that you will delegate one task to one team member regularly after coaching them on how to complete it. You have the ability to be the catalyst for growth for your team. And in the process of initiating duplication and delegation through effective communication, you will grow too.